The US has by far the biggest navy on the planet. It boasts 11 aircraft carriers and over 5,000 planes and helicopters. But for all their might, these war machines need people on board to operate them. Not this one. Fire Scout. This cutting-edge rotorcraft can fly at 12,000 feet, pinpoint targets and relay crucial information back to base. It's about to play a key role in the Navy's battle with the world's drug cartels. And all the time, the pilot stays safely on the ground.
The coolest thing about this is that it's an unmanned system, so we can stay aloft for a number of hours, and I don't have to worry about, possibly getting taken prisoner or dying.
Southeastern Maryland, USA. It's 7 a.m., 2 hours before the Fire Scout is due to fly. The designers have been preparing for months for this crucial test. Getting a pilotless helicopter off the ground is a huge challenge. The UAV is based on an existing manned machine. But taking out the pilot meant filling the cockpit and fuselage with an array of computers that control the chopper's movements. The challenge for the designers is getting these computers to replicate human commands. And as head engineer Tom explains, that wasn't easy.
The pilot is not on the controls. He's not using a stick and rudder or collective on this aircraft. So taking what pilot inputs would be, digitizing it and turning into lines of code is a very difficult, challenging aspect.
After pre-programming a flight path, Fire Scout is towed out and ready for takeoff. But although there's no pilot in sight, it doesn't mean there isn't one. It's just that he is sitting in the unlikeliest cockpit in the world. UAVs are almost autonomous, but they still need experienced pilots like Woody here to get the most out of them.
We often call this the cockpit of the aircraft, and it just never leaves the ground. So it's a little bit safer that way.
After 20 years of using joysticks and pedals to fly helicopters, having just a mouse and keyboard requires a big adjustment.
It's pretty different from flying a regular aircraft or helicopter because you're not in it. You don't have what pilots would call a seat-of-the-pants feel. So all you have is your eyes. You don't have any auditory cues or any G-forces, no vibrations that you're feeling.
And while he can't feel the G's, this doesn't mean that flying a UAV isn't tiring. The Fire Scout can stay in the air for 8 hours at a time, at least double the flight time of a manned chopper. That means longer reconnaissance missions covering greater areas.
The green line right here is what's known as a pre-programmed route. It's a plan that we set up ahead of time that flies the aircraft, and it just basically stays on that flight route all the way around.
With Woody on standby, over at the command center, it's all systems go.
Aerostar, Fire Scout.
Yeah, we're ready to go right now.
Okay, we're going to launch and proceed out of here and go down range within the next 2 or 3 mics, and we'll just stay gone for like 20 minutes.
On the runway, Fire Scout's flight systems are checked, the fuel lines unhooked, and the rotors turned on. Woody in the command center then help guide it into the air. But without some extra hardware, it's basically just a very expensive giant model aircraft. Key to its missions is its payload. An infrared camera and laser rangefinder mounted under the nose, able to scan the horizon for targets.
If you think about your regular point and shoot, this thing is thousands of times more powerful. And we also have a laser on board for designating targets, which we can coordinate strikes with other air assets. And just to give you an idea of how powerful the camera is, we can read writing on a shirt from 1,000 feet or so.
That incredible super camera will be a crucial eye in the sky, collecting intel and relaying it back to the command center for analysis. Once in the air, Fire Scout's computers can handle both pre-programmed commands and any new orders the team throws at it.
Everything that a pilot does, whether it's turn left, turn right, we now give those commands. We're not actually moving controls anymore. We're not flying a remote control airplane. we're giving it commands, and the computers have to be programmed to deal with those contingencies and move to a point in space.
Unlike remote-controlled aircraft, if communications go down and can't be restored, Fire Scout can use its data to automatically return to base. The problem is that a nice, flat, stationary piece of tarmac is hardly the high seas. On missions, Fire Scout needs to be able to take off from a moving ship in strong winds. So on the Florida coast, another team is testing its real mettle. After hoisting the bird on board, the destroyer set sail to patrol an area known for drug runners. The ship's helipad measures only a few square meters, much too small for a fixed-wing plane, but perfect for Fire Scout. Once in the air, it can hunt and identify a target from up to 10 kilometers away, day or night. Out at sea, it spots a suspicious speedboat, unaware of the silent spy in the sky. As it hovers, the rangefinder bounces a laser beam off the target to calculate distance, and the camera relays images back to the ship, who dispatch a boat to intercept. With a 4,000-ton warship closing in, guns loaded, there's no chance of escape. On capturing the boat, the Navy finds 60 kilos of cocaine, bound for US shores. This is the first time in history an unmanned helicopter has helped capture drugs. Fire Scout isn't just a military spy, it's an aerial Robocop. And with anti-piracy and search and rescue missions in the pipeline, for Woody and his fellow pioneers, the sky is the limit.
I would expect that years from now, my grandchildren, I'll be able to point and say, I was part of that.